I was born in a middle-class Tamil family in the island town of Rameshwaram in the erstwhile Madras state. My father, Jainul Abdin, had neither much formal education nor much wealth. Despite these disadvantages, I possessed great, innate wisdom and a true generosity of spirit. I had an ideal helpmate, my mother, Ashyama. I do not recall the exact number of people she fed every day, but I am quite certain that far more outsiders ate with us than all the members of our own family put together. We lived in our ancestral house, which was built in the middle of the 19th century. It was a fairly large pakka house made of limestones and bricks on the Mosque Street in Rameshwaram. My austere father used to avoid all inessential comforts and luxuries. However, all necessities were provided for in terms of food, medicine, or clothes. In fact, I would say mine was a very secure childhood. The Second World War broke out in 1939 when I was 8 years old. For reasons I have never been able to understand, a sudden demand for tamarind seeds erupted in the market. I used to collect the seeds and sell them to a provision shop on Mosque Street. A day's collection would fetch me the princely sum of 1 anna. My brother-in-law, Jalaluddin, would tell me stories about the war, which I would later attempt to trace in the headlines in Dinamani. Our area, being isolated, was completely unaffected by the war. But soon, India was forced to join the Allied forces, and something like a state of emergency was declared. The first casualty came in the form of the suspension of the train halt at Rameshwaram station. The newspapers now had to be bundled and thrown out from the moving train on Rameshwaram Road between Rameshwaram and Dhanushkodi. That forced my cousin, Samsudin, who distributed newspapers in Rameshwaram, to look for a helping hand to catch the bundles, and as if naturally, I filled the slot. Samsudin helped me earn my first wages. Half a century later, I can still feel the surge of pride in earning my own money for the first time. Every child is born with some inherited characteristics into a specific socioeconomic and emotional environment and trained in certain ways by figures of authority. I inherited honesty and self-discipline from my father. From my mother, I inherited faith in goodness and deep kindness, and so did my 3 brothers and sister. I had 3 close friends in my childhood: Ramanatha Sastri, Aravindan, and Siva Prakasan. All of these boys were from orthodox Hindu Brahmin families. As children, none of us ever felt any difference amongst ourselves because of our religious differences and upbringing. In fact, Ramananda Shastri was the son of Pakshi Lakshmana Sastri, the high priest of the Rameshwaram temple. Later, he took over the priesthood of the Ramswaram temple from his father. Aravindan went into the business of arranging transport for visiting pilgrims, and Siva Prakasan became a catering contractor for the Southern Railways. During the annual Sri Sita Rama Kalyanam ceremony, our family used to arrange boats with a special platform for carrying idols of the Lord from the temple to the marriage site, situated in the middle of the pond, called Rama Tirtha, which was near our house. Events from the Ramayana and from the life of the Prophet were the bedtime stories my mother and grandmother would tell the children in the family. One day, when I was in the 5th standard at the Rameshwaram Elementary School, A new teacher came to our class. I used to wear a cap which marked me as a Muslim, and I always sat in the front row next to Ramanada Sastri, who wore the sacred thread. The new teacher could not tolerate a Hindu priest's son sitting with a Muslim boy in accordance with our social ranking, as the new teacher saw it. I was asked to go and sit at the back bench. I felt very sad, and so did Ramanada Sastri. He looked utterly downcast as I shifted to my seat in the last row. The image of him weeping when I shifted to the last row left a lasting impression on me. After school, we went home and told our respective parents about the incident. Lakshmana Sastri summoned the teacher and, in our presence, told the teacher that he should not spread the poison of social inequality and communal intolerance in the minds of innocent children. He bluntly asked the teacher to either apologize or quit the school and the island. Not only did the teacher regret his behavior, but the strong sense of conviction Lakshman Shastri conveyed ultimately reformed this young teacher. On the whole, the small society of Rameshwaram was very rigid in terms of the segregation of different social groups. However, my science teacher, Siva Subramania Iyer, though an orthodox Brahmin with a very conservative wife, was something of a rebel. He did his best to break social barriers so the people from various backgrounds could mingle easily. He used to spend hours with me and would say, "Kalam, I want you to develop so that you're on par with the highly educated people of the big cities." One day, he invited me to his home for a meal. His wife was horrified at the idea of a Muslim boy being invited to dinner in her ritually pure kitchen. She refused to serve me in her kitchen. Siva Subramaniam Iyer was not perturbed, nor did he get angry with his wife, but instead served me with his own hands and sat down beside me to eat his meal. His wife watched us from behind the kitchen door. I wondered whether she had observed any difference in the way I ate rice, drank water, or cleaned the floor after the meal. When I was leaving his house, Siva Subramaniam Iyer invited me to join him for dinner again the next weekend. Observing my hesitation, he told me not to get upset, saying, "Once you decide to change the system, such problems have to be conformed." When I visited his house the next week, Siva Subramania Iyer's wife took me inside her kitchen and served me food with her own hands. Then the Second World War was over and India's freedom was imminent. "Indians will build their own India," declared Gandhiji. The whole country was filled with unprecedented optimism. I asked my father for permission to leave Rameswaram and study at then district headquarters in Ramanathapuram.